All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. It is Thursday. Hope you're enjoying your week so far. Another great episode yesterday talking about first concert, Aerosmith. Love your comments. Speaking of Aerosmith, remember I was thinking about this, and then there was a discussion underneath there about 70s Aerosmith versus 85 on Aerosmith, and whether you were a fan or not a fan. And you know, I was a big fan of the 70s Aerosmith, late 70s, early 80s for sure. Grew up listening to Toys in the Attic and that greatest hits, that first greatest hits. Then they had that break. Then they put out their comeback albums in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s. Totally different music, right? So the ones from the mid 80s on were more like the MTV stuff, a little more polished, a little bit more pop-like. I mean, they definitely had some rock and roll in there, but not like 70s rock and roll. So it was definitely different. I mean, you know, a lot of one-word songs too. Angel, Crying, Amazing. I mean, they were on movie soundtracks. Dude Looks Like a Lady, Ragdoll, Janie's Got a Gun, Love in an Elevator, Going Down, Mr. Tyler, What It Takes, Living on the Edge. I mean, I was like a fair weather fan about a lot of that music. Some of that music, that later music, I didn't become a fan until later. But that's the kind of music you would hear in the background. If you were in a bar, like everyone could sit around and they could sing it all together. I mean, it was fine, but like that's what it was like. But the 70s, the late 70s, Aerosmith was like some kick rock and roll, right? So like, I don't know, Mama Kin, Same Old Song and Dance, Walk This Way, Big 10-inch record, Sweet Emotion, Last Child, Back in the Saddle, Uncle Salty, Toys in the Attic, Lightning Strikes. I mean, these songs, when you hear these songs, it was like those guitars. I mean, it was like your rock and roll. You were like, you know, you made this face. You were like, yeah, Aerosmith kicking some serious butt. Yeah. I mean, when you hear Crying, you're not going like this. You're going like to everybody else in the bar, like, hey, I'm crying. Anyway, so totally different music. And there's fans of the late stuff and not the early stuff, vice versa, or whatever. I tend to lean towards the early stuff, but I do respect the later stuff. I just treat it as two different things. Okay, so I'm glad we cleared that up. All right, we're doing something. We're doing a complete 180 right now because we're going to go back to one of my favorite artists, records, singers. There's gonna be fans here, there's gonna be not fans here, but you gotta give it a shot, you gotta give it a listen. But you know, you do have to love female singers, solo singers. And if that's the case, she's gotta be on your list. Anyway, this week, January 1990, Sinead O'Connor releases Nothing Compares to You, the single. And it is a worldwide smash. It's #1 in 13 countries. It's the #1 single of all of 1990. This thing was massive, it was huge. And I love this song. I loved this song then, I love it now. We all know the history by now, but we know Prince wrote it, right? Everyone knows Prince wrote it at this point. Prince wrote it, he recorded it in 1984, but he never released it on anything, that version. He formed a band called The Family on his label in 85, and they recorded that song and just threw it on there as filler. It wasn't released as a single or anything, and they never had another album again. And Sinead picks it up in 90, records it, and Prince had never played it live before. He wasn't doing anything with it. And then when it went huge with Sinead, he started performing it live. A live version made it on one of his other next greatest hits, the hits B-sides. And then the State released the 1984 version as a single digital in 2018. So, and I like Prince's version, by the way. There's nothing not to like about that. But this song in this record was massive, like I said. She got 4 Grammy noms for this record. She won 1. She got like 3 Moon Man awards for it. And, you know, this is just very powerful. She can sing. If it's one thing we know is she can absolutely sing. You can talk about her politics or the stuff that happens in the background. Obviously some concerns there about her mental health and everything. But fact of the matter is, she can sing, and I got a lot of great songs from her that I love on her other albums that we will cover at a different time. But we're talking specifically this album, so let's go through it quickly. Feel So Different, awesome. I Am Stretched on Your Grave, yep. 3 Babies, the 3rd single, awesome. Emperor's New Clothes, Nothing Compares to You. Jump in the River, You Cause As Much Sorrow. The title track, and then these 2 tracks that you got to listen to if you haven't heard them before. The first one is Black Boys on Mopeds, based on a true story. 21-year-old black British man died in the foyer of a police station. There was controversy over suicide versus got killed by police. Anyway, that's what this song is about. But this is a pretty haunting, powerful song. And then the next one is The Last Day of Our Acquaintance. This song, awesome. Love this song. You gotta turn it way up. You gotta have your bass. You gotta have your subwoofer. It's cruising along, cruising along. You think it's just a slow song. It's like, all right, fine, fine, fine. And at the very end, boom, it just hits you and you're like, wow, that was amazing. So if you don't know this record, play the whole thing. Like I said, I'm into it now. You're playing whole records, right? When I go for my walks, I do whole albums and just revisit them. And this is one of them I did recently. I've been doing Yes, 90125. I've been doing Pink Floyd, a lot of Pink Floyd stuff. Anyway, a bunch of stuff. Billy Idol, Rebel Yell. But this one was the other day, and that's what got me going. So anyway, song of the day is Nothing Compares to You. It's the Sinead O'Connor version. Obviously, make or remake could have been on there. Is it make or remake? I mean, Prince made it, but he didn't release it, didn't really sing it, but then he recorded it and released it later. So he remade his make. So it's really be me make, remake, or remake, make. All right. So that's your song of the day. Nothing Compares to You. Sinead O'Connor, enjoy it tomorrow. Octane Friday is going to be awesome. Have a great day. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.